So today I got a chance to see an early screening for Morgan, one of the least anticipated movies this year. Now, of course, having said that, my expectations were pretty low going into this movie. So usually when that happens, sometimes you're pleasantly surprised about what you see. Now, is that the case after watching Morgan? Let's find out. And with that, I welcome you to another episode of The Real Mentor, where my goal, as always, is to enhance your movie watching experience. Now, before I get to my review of Morgan, I do want to mention some sad news. I think it was less than 24 hours ago, hearing of the passing of one of my favorite comedians when I grew up, in movies anyway, and that's, of course, Gene Wilder. Kind of sad by this. I loved watching, when I was growing up, I loved watching him. And for the youngsters out there who don't know who he is, and you may have seen him in Willy Wonka, as one of the most iconic, roles out there in Hollywood ever given us. But he's done other things besides that. I highly recommend you guys check out classics like Stir Crazy with him and Richard Pryor, Young Frankenstein, which he did with Mel Brooks, and he actually helped write that movie. And Blazing Saddles is another one that comes to mind. This guy was one of the great performers of his day back in, of course, from the 70s on to the mid 80s. I'm sad to see him go. I was a huge fan. If you guys don't know much about him, I can do yourself a favor, go check out some of those movies I just mentioned, particularly I would say the Young Frankenstein, and of course Willy Wonka, if you with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, if you haven't seen that. And I'm not talking about the Johnny Depp disaster that came out a couple years ago. So do those. So I'm very sad to see him go. I just felt like I want to go ahead and give my condolences to his family and all that. And Hollywood was lost another great one. So now trying to transition out of that, let's talk about Morgan. Morgan is a movie which, when I saw the trailers, it kind of seemed almost like a species, almost like I guess a retelling of it, or even Splice. Hearing about it kind of reminded me a little bit of Ex Machina in terms of what I tried to do. It's a first-time director doing Morgan, and you can and it shows. The action when we shot was poorly done, poorly edited. The acting was subpar, and overall, this movie, in a word, is meh. Now, for you guys who don't know what Morgan's about, again, it's a science fiction thriller. You have this, this group of scientists who have manufactured, created, this artificial being of sorts and special abilities. And so I guess the main corporation who heads this, is funding this program, sends a consultant and analyst to review it as something has gone wrong and to try to determine whether this program should continue. Now, the biggest problem with this movie is it's kind of lifeless. It's kind of dull, and it had a real interesting premise. Nothing we haven't seen before, and it's new. It does explore areas about artificial intelligence and the creation of life. We've seen those kind of things in Species, like I mentioned. Ex Machina is a great example, and that's a movie you guys should check out as opposed to this one, where it really dives into some of the specifics of the artificial intelligence and what it means, and it kind of explores that even further. This movie tries to do that a little bit, but it kind of stops towards the end. And really, the character itself is not fully explored. The character of Morgan, who is this young girl who ages very rapidly. She has these abilities, heightened intelligence, some strength. They don't really get into it, or even as to why she's being created, who's behind everything. And it kind of takes away from the movie, because you don't really care about what's going on, because you have no idea of why she's there in the first place, and who's this consultant that's sent down there, who's played by Rooney Mara, who I generally do like. And with the exception of Paul Giamatti, who has like about 10-minute role, and he's great in it. I always love Paul Giamatti, with the exception of Amazing Spider-Man 2. He brings life into this movie, and you can really show the difference between when you have a good actor as opposed to some of the casts that in this movie. Now, unfortunately, this movie is only 90 minutes long, but I was watching with a friend of mine at the screening, and we both looked at each other about an hour into it, and we're thinking, man, this movie, it seemed never ending. It's only an hour and a half. It felt like it was 3 hours long, and that's not a good thing. It was very slow and dry in the beginning, didn't explore the ideas it brought to the table, it tried to bring to the table enough to really make it care about what was going on. And at the end, the last 30 minutes, I guess, it turns into a bland action film with poorly shot action. And again, the action is only as good as the people you're rooting for. And at this point, you really don't care about anybody. The Morgan character, one we should have felt for, it's underdeveloped, and the rest of the movie falls flat as a result. It's very slow paced. The ending, although has a couple of interesting action scenes, it didn't give you a whole much. It didn't give you anything new overall. This is a science fiction movie, and it didn't really focus on the science, which is unfortunate because it had a good premise. Again, even a movie like Species, which kind of did something similar, as bad as that movie is, I kind of liked it. Nothing else because it was entertaining, it's a guilty pleasure. This movie didn't even entertain. So obviously, I'm not gonna recommend you guys go watch this movie. I wouldn't even rent it. This is a classic Netflix and chill. You're bored, put it on there. Was completely free. Other than that, stay away from it. You're not missing anything. Go put on Ex Machina. Hell, go to put on Species for that matter. And it's sad when I recommend Species over any movie. So I'm already gonna catch it. Maybe you did like it, maybe you didn't. Comment below, let me know. What is also your favorite Gene Wilder flick for those who are old enough to remember him? And of course, don't forget to subscribe below and feed my need to go to the movies and talk about it afterwards. See you guys next time.